Today we're looking at one of the most recognizable and most well-known Mario plush sets ever made by any company ever. Shout out to @CoolConeyBros2117 for giving me this video idea, and with that said, welcome to a look at the Sanei Mario Party 5 plush set. Before we get to the individual plushes themselves, let's talk about a little bit of history about this plush set. This plush set was released in 2004 by the company Sanei, and it was their second ever Mario plush set. This plush set was released to promote the game Mario Party 5 and was in stores until around 2007 until other Sanei sets phased these plushes out. Since then, these plushes have become highly wanted and very expensive, so yeah, they're quite hard to find nowadays, and I'll be telling you why in this video. There has also been tons of bootlegs made for this set, so I'll also be telling you how to watch out for the bootlegs and not get scammed. Now let's move on to the first plush in the set, being the Mario. Now this Mario plush actually comes in 3 sizes, so I'm going to start with the small size. Overall, this Mario plush's face is actually pretty good, with the embroidery on it being very nice. His hat is also pretty nice. The only complaint I really have about it is that it's kinda understuffed and it could fall off because it's only held on by a little bit of string. The emblem on the hat could also get cracked because it's just an iron-on, so be careful with that. The Mario plush's overalls are made out of felt and they could actually come off, but I would not recommend doing that because that will damage the plush. The buttons are also made out of felt and they are just glued on, so they could fall off over the years. The Mario plush's shoes are very under-detailed, which they don't really have much detail on the shoe at all. They don't even have soles on them. And also, this Mario plush's proportions are really off. For some reason, he has really short arms and legs, which isn't accurate how Mario is actually supposed to look. But overall, even though this plush has a few flaws on it, it's still overall a pretty nice looking Mario plush. The medium size of the Mario plush is also basically the exact same as the small size, except that the mustache actually has a little bit more detail on the medium size usually. That's really the only difference about it. This Mario plush is also 1 and 2 plushes in the set that come with an extra large size being a 4 feet tall. Once again, it's the exact same as the medium and small sizes, but just a lot bigger. Like, these things come in 4 feet tall, so they are extremely expensive when they usually sell. And also, the extra large size comes with soles on the shoes, which isn't on the medium and small sizes. I don't know why they didn't make them on this medium and small sizes, because they could obviously do it because they did it on this size. There's also a few bootlegs of this Mario plush, being this plush that's sitting on a brick. The Mario plush on this brick looks pretty accurate to the Mario Party 5 one. I just don't know why they put it on a brick instead. It just doesn't look that good. Also, this bootleg is extremely rare and even more rare than the normal Mario Party 5 plush. This is probably the best Mario Party 5 bootleg, except the only really flaw about it is that it comes with a Banpresto tag, which obviously isn't correct because this wasn't even made by Banpresto. This Mario Plush bootleg also looks pretty good. The only thing that really makes it look not that good is that it actually has a suction cup on it with a red string, which isn't obviously how the Sanei ones were made. All the bootlegs are a lot more rare than the actual Mario Party 5 Mario Plush, so you have a higher chance of getting the non-bootleg than the bootleg version. Now, for the prices on these plushes, they're quite expensive. The small size sells between $150 to $250, mattering if it's in good condition or bad condition. The medium Mario also sells between $150 and $250. Now, the extra large size Mario sells for a lot of money, and I've even seen it sell for up to $1,000, so yeah, it's very expensive and very rare. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the Luigi in the set. Once again, just like the Mario plush, he has very nice embroidery on his face. The only really complaint I have about his face is that the mustache could sometimes either be really nicely detailed like this one, or it could just look like a flat mustache, which isn't how it's supposed to look. The hat once again is understuffed and also has a problem with cracking on the logo because there's only an iron-on. The overalls are made out of a dark blue felt, and the buttons on them could also fall off because they're only slightly glued on. Also, the overalls could be taken off, but I wouldn't recommend that because that would severely damage this plush. Luigi's proportions are also a little off. They did a little better with the Luigi, but still, his arms and legs are still a little short. There are also some Luigi plushes that seem to just have smaller overalls that don't really fit him for some reason. It just seems like Sanei just kind of like made the quality control a little bad on this plush. This plush only comes in one size, being the small size, and also has one bootleg of it. This bootleg is actually a pretty interesting one. Once again, it's even more rare than the Luigi plush itself, so if you do see this plush, I would recommend getting it because it's an extremely rare bootleg. And one thing interesting about this Luigi plush is that it's actually holding a mega mushroom that's not just a normal mega mushroom, it's actually a tissue holder. The reason it has an opening on the top is that you could put a small tissue box in it, not a big size one because that wouldn't fit, but you could just put a small tissue box in that it would come out of there, which is a pretty interesting idea for a plush. And this is probably one of the most unique bootlegs that I've ever seen. They came out with a whole new idea. Now, for the price of this plush, it's probably the most expensive plush in the whole set because I've seen it sell from $250 to up to $500, mattering on the condition of it. This is by far the most wanted plush in the whole set as well. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the Peach plush. Now, this is probably one of the weirdest plushes in the whole set, and the main reason for that is that the face is just kind of weird looking. For some reason, Sanei just didn't give Peach a nose. Like, why did they do that? They also made this Peach plush look kinda cross-eyed, which just makes the whole plush just look weird overall. The crown on the top of her hair could also fall off because it's just glued on and slightly stitched on, so it could easily fall off. Besides the face, the rest of the plush is okay, I guess. The dress is kinda weird looking though because it's stuffed instead of just being a normal dress like today's Peach plush, which isn't stuffed, it's just like a piece of blush material, which looks a lot nicer in my opinion. The gloves that Peach is wearing are also made out of felt, so they could collect dust and get damaged easily. Overall, this is probably my least favorite plush in the whole set just because of the way Sanei designed her face, and overall, like, the dress doesn't even look that good. Sanei did a lot better jobs with future Peach plushes like the All-Star one. This plush also has bootlegs, which look even uglier than the normal plush themselves. The bootleg of this plush is very understuffed, so it could look floppy and the head could just kind of like fall off a little bit. The crown is also the wrong color and it could easily fall off because it's only slightly glued on because the bootleggers just kind of put it on there quickly. The faces also usually has the eyes really far apart or really close together, mattering on which one you get. And this bootleg is actually really common. You could find it on eBay really easily, so be careful when searching for this plush. You could easily get scammed. For the price of this plush, it's actually one of the cheaper plushes in the set, selling between $75 to $125, mattering on the condition of it. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, being the Yoshi in the set. Just like the Mario, he comes in 3 sizes, so I'm going to start with the small size. Now, Sanei actually did a really good job with this Yoshi plush, and in my opinion, it looks better than even the modern Sanei ones. His face is really nicely stuffed and also just makes a nice shape of his face. The shell on his back is really nice and his tail's a nice shape, and it could easily get unstuffed though, so I'd be careful with that because it could get damaged. Also, unlike the Mario, he actually has soles on his shoes on every size of this plush. Now, one thing weird about this plush is that it looks almost identical to the Super Mario Sunshine set Yoshi that was also released by Sanei 2 years earlier. In 2002, Sanei made their first ever Mario plush set, which was based off the game Super Mario Sunshine. It came with a Yoshi plush that looks identical to this one. The only really difference about it is that the tags on the plush are different. That's the only difference really though. The Mario Party 5 Yoshi is a lot more common than the Super Mario Sunshine one though. It's just weird that Sanei decided to basically just steal their own design. But even though it's identical to the other one, this plush is still really nice looking. The medium size is the exact same as the small size, but the large size actually looks a little different. The pupils on the large size are actually slightly smaller and look a little different than the medium and the small size. The extra large size is also the rarest plush in the whole set, and I could barely find any images of it, and I haven't even seen one eBay listing or any listing on any website of this plush. Now for bootlegs of this Yoshi plush, this is probably the most bootlegged plush in the whole set. People have taken this Yoshi design and had made multiple colors of the Yoshi, so they turned the normal green one into a bunch of different colors. So instead of just having a normal green Yoshi bootleg, they have plenty of colors to choose from. There's also some unique bootlegs like this one that's sitting on top of a DS stylus for some reason. Like, why did they make this? This is one of the strangest plushes I've ever seen. Like, it's just so weird that they put a Yoshi plush on top of a Nintendo DS stylus plush. There's also a few unique looking bootlegs like this graduation Yoshi plush, which is basically, it looks identical with the face and the shoes to the Mario Party 5 one, just it's dressed up as a graduation one. This is probably the most unique bootleg Yoshi plush, and there are tons more, but I don't really have a whole video to talk about that. There's also this weird Yoshi bootleg that uses the same head as the Mario Party 5 one that's a pillow pet. It's just a really weird bootleg that I found. Now for the prices, the small size could sell between $75 to $125, same with the medium size. Now, the extra large size, I can't really give you a price because it really has never sold. So basically, I'm guessing near the Mario Plush around $1,000. But it might even be more than that due to the extreme rarity of it. Now let's go into probably the cheapest plush in this whole set, being the Toad plush. Now this Toad plush looks really similar to modern Sanei Toad plushes. They did a good job with the head shape, and overall it just looks really nice and is overall pretty accurate. Now his face has some nice embroidery, but the one problem I really have about this plush is that for some reason they made his mouth pink for some reason. It makes no sense why they did that. Now that's probably one of the only complaints I have. The only other one is that his soles on his shoes don't exist. It seems like they only made soles on the shoes for a Yoshi and not Luigi, Mario, or Toad. It's just a really weird detail that they left out in some plushes. His jacket could also fall off because it's only slightly stitched on. As I said earlier, the prices for this plush are pretty cheap, selling between $50 to $100 depending on the condition of it. And just like the Yoshi, they have taken this normal Toad bootleg and made tons of colors of it. None of these plushes are really unique besides the green one, because there's actually no official green Toad plush, so this is really the only green Toad plush that you could get. Now let's move on to the next plush set, being the Wario plush. Now Sanei did a pretty good job with Wario's face with nice embroidery and good details. His mustache is made out of felt, so the two pieces that are his mustache could easily fall off, so I'd be careful with that. His hat is also understuffed, and once again the logo on it is an iron-on, so it could get cracked. Also, for some reason on some plushes his head could be huge compared to the rest of his body. It just seems like Sanei also had bad quality control on this plush. The overalls are actually not made out of felt, and unlike the others, that you can actually not take them off like the Mario and Luigi. The gray buttons though are the exact same as Mario and Luigi's. They could easily fall off. My biggest complaint about this plush is probably that his legs are just really small and very understuffed. His shoes also don't have soles in them again. It's just really weird that Sanei gave him just very flat feet and legs, and they didn't even stuff them that much, so they could just look really flat and really damaged quite easily, so it's quite hard to find a Wario plush with good condition legs. There's also a bootleg of this Wario plush that's really common on eBay, so watch out for that. You could easily tell it's a bootleg though because his head is just really weird looking, and also the tag's a wrong tag. It's a Super Mario tag and not the Mario Party 5 tag. Also, if you see any Mario Party 5 plush that has a tag that's not around the neck, then it's obviously a bootleg. All the tags came around the plush's neck with a gold string, so that's how you could tell it's official or not with the tag. Now, for the price of this plush, you could sell it for around $125 to $200, mattering if it's in good condition or bad condition. Now let's go into the next plush set, which is Donkey Kong. Now, just like the Toad in this set, it looks really similar to its All-Star Sanei counterpart. The only really difference between the All-Star version is that this one has darker fur, and overall I think the darker fur looks better on it. His eyes and nose are nicely embroidered on, and his mouth is kind of just like two plush materials laid out, and overall it looks nice. Donkey Kong is also in a nice position, which some plushes could actually mess up, so they did a good job making him look in the right position. Now his tie could easily fall off though, because it is only slightly stitched on, so it could fall off over the years. Also, the letters DK are just an iron-on, so they could easily crack or get damaged really easily, so I'd be careful with that. Overall, this is probably one of the best plushes in the set because they basically got everything right about it. And you could really tell that Sanei enjoyed this design because they still use it basically the exact same on the All-Star version. So there's really no complaints about this plush, that the tie is a little like loosely stitched on. Once again, almost like every plush in the set, it has a bootleg of it. This bootleg is really easy to tell though. You could just look at the eyes and see that mostly the eyes are just filled in with brown fur instead of having like the full eye. Because on the official plush, the eyes go all the way down to where his nose is, but on the bootleg it doesn't, so that's how you could tell if it's real or fake. Now for the price of Donkey Kong, he could probably sell between $150 to $250, mattering if it's in good condition or bad condition. Now let's move on to the final plush in the set, being Bowser. Now, this plush's face actually has a lot of details that could get damaged because a lot of the details are made out of felt. His teeth are made out of felt, so they could get damaged and even fall out sometimes. His eyebrows are just loosely glued on, and over the years the glue could go bad and just fall off. The hair could also collect dust and get damaged easily because it's made out of felt. For some reason, Sanei made a lot of details out of felt on this plush, which was a bad decision. His eyes, though, are really nicely embroidered on. The cuffs around his arms are also made out of felt, so they could collect dust and get damaged. Also, the dots on the cuffs are iron-on, so they could get damaged easily and get cracked. Now the shell on this plush is actually pretty bad with the spikes because the spikes could get easily unstuffed. Because of how Sanei made them, they could easily get unstuffed and become really flat over the years, which is obviously not a good thing for this plush. Even though there are lots of details on this plush that could get damaged, it's still overall a pretty good plush based off the looks of it. Once again, if you see a stock image on eBay, this plush is almost 100% a bootleg, as there's tons of bootlegs on eBay. The easiest way to tell if it's a bootleg is that on the shell, the spikes have brown around them instead of orange, so that's the easiest way to tell if it's a bootleg. His mouth is also really close shut on the bootleg, so you could also tell from that and where the tag is located on the plush. There's also this infamous pink nose Bowser bootleg where the bootleg has a pink nose for some reason. Overall, it's really easy to tell the bootleg from the official plush. For how expensive this plush is, it could sell between $200 to $300 mattering on the condition of it. Now, why are these plushes so expensive and so wanted by a lot of people? Well, one of the reasons why is because these plushes are old and haven't been produced since 2007. That's just one of the reasons though. The main reason is that a lot of these plushes were used by popular YouTubers. So people want to get the exact same plush as they watched in the YouTube videos, so that's why these plushes are so expensive. Because they saw that their favorite YouTuber used a certain plush, so they decided to buy this plush, and that's made these plushes really expensive because people will pay lots of money to get them. So that's the reason why these plushes are so expensive and so wanted by so many people. So yeah, which plush set is your favorite? Mine's probably the Yoshi, but comment down below what yours is, and yeah, have a great day.